Iran says it has partially stopped gas production at the world's largest gas field after an Israeli strike. Iranian media aired footage of a fire at the plant and said that an Israeli drone strike caused a strong explosion. It appears to be Israel's first attack on Iran's oil and gas industry. Israel's army says it is freely operating in airspace from western Iran all the way to the capital, Tehran, and that it has also struck an underground missile facility in western Iran during a new round of strikes. For more, I'm now joined by Dr. Mehrzad Boroujerdi. He's an expert on Iran and Middle Eastern politics and joins us from Rolla, Missouri. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, what exactly is Israel hoping to achieve by attacking Iran's oil and gas facilities?
Well, I think, it's important to consider that oil and gas accounts for somewhere between 40 to 50% of the entire Iranian state, revenues. And I believe the Israelis, by, now attacking oil installations in addition to military sites, as well as airports and nuclear sites, are trying to turn the pressure on the Iranian state and deprive it of its, source of revenue in pursuit of really two goals, a minimalist goal and a maximalist goal. The minimalist goal is to force Iran into giving major concessions in terms of its nuclear program. And the maximalist goal is that Israelis are hoping that by turning this type of pressure, Iranian public will rise up against the state and we will have a regime change in Tehran.
Well, so far, nuclear sites have been attacked, scientists and senior commanders are killed as well. How much of a blow is all of this to the Iranian regime?
Well, it's certainly not easy to replace all these individuals who have been, taken out. For example, the veteran military commanders, they all had the experience of the 8 years of the Iran-Iraq war under their belts, and therefore replacing them is not going to be easy. Yet, I think, one should not exaggerate. Iran is not a one-bullet state. This is not Saddam Hussein's Iraq or Libya's Gaddafi that, even if you take care of, the leader, that the regime is necessarily going to collapse. Same logic with nuclear scientists. The fact that you can assassinate scientists doesn't mean that the knowledge is necessarily lost. It's a team sport, developing, the nuclear energy or bombs, etc., in Iran. And I think the elimination, capitulation of, some individuals, although it will constitute a setback, is not necessarily going to be perceived as an existential threat.
Okay, now please, if you could stay with us for a second, let's have a listen to what people on the streets of Tehran have to say about the recent attacks.
I say to Israel, we will not stay silent. We're 80 million Iranians. Young people, we will not stay silent. We have all kinds of difficulties, but we will not compromise our dignity.
It's a highly commendable move. We are not at all opposed to negotiations. But when the person sitting on the other side of the table is someone who even uses the negotiations themselves against Iran in a military context, there's no reason to participate in such talks.
If someone doesn't want us to exist in the world, we shouldn't be sitting at the table to talk to them. Naturally, we have no relations with each other, so why should we be negotiating?
Now, it seems we were hearing a unified front there in those quotes. But the question is, are we only hearing the voices the Islamic Republic wants us to hear, or are the Israeli attacks genuinely uniting Iranians?
Well, I think, it's fair to say that there are really two views in Iran, right? Those Iranians who are disgruntled and unhappy with the state, certainly up to this point, have been supportive of the Israeli, attacks. But it's also true, as you were just demonstrating, that there are a lot of Iranians, who feel that this is a insult to their national sense of sovereignty, national pride, and therefore, to expect the rally behind the flag phenomena is not really far-fetched. When we look at Iran's history, every time, a foreign force has attacked them, the people have ended up, coming together and trying to confront that type of a risk. I think the chances of this type of reaction, this unification of voice, is even higher as the Israelis attack the critical infrastructure of the country, and people begin to realize that this is not just eliminating, certain unwanted, unpopular military commanders, but it's really making their everyday life difficult. Imagine, for example, oil, water, electrical grids being hit right in this summer session.
All right, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. That was Dr. Mehrzad Boroujerdi. Thank you very much for your insights.